Hello everybody and welcome to their Drowned City spoiler roundup. I am here with Eric to talk about these cards. Actually, when I was making the slideshow, there were cards that I even forgot were spoiled. So
incredible.
I'm excited to talk about them all here. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
First one, we have our last fully spoiled investigator from the box with Michael McGlen, the gangster. This is great too because we just recorded that Rogue video. So.
And isn't Michael McGlen already? Is this an alternate?
No. He's not in the game. That's Tony Morgan?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it is a very similar kind of build. So Michael McGlen, 3-1-5-3 stat line. Soaks for 9 and 5, so, you know, like Tony Morgan.
Yep.
As a reaction, after you spend 1 or more ammo from a firearm asset, gain 1 resource. Limit 1 per firearm asset per round. Elder Sign effect is +2. You may place 1 ammo on a firearm asset you control. Deck size is 30, Rogue 0 to 3, Neutral 0 to 5. Cards with firearm either as their trait or in their text box, level 0 to 5. And his signature is Viola Case. 2 cost accessory slot. Has 1 of every icon on that. I think this is the first time we're seeing that on a card. You have 2 additional hand slots which can only be used to hold firearm assets. As a reaction, after you play Viola Case, search the top 9 cards of your deck for a firearm asset and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. His signature weakness is Confiscation. Shuffle each firearm asset into your play area into your deck. If no asset was shuffled into your deck by this effect, take 1 damage and shuffle Confiscation back into your deck.
So
that's good flavor text. You going hunting, Mr. McGlen?
You going hunting, Mr. Brandon? So I'm sorry, how many hands does Michael McGlen have? 2
naturally.
And 2 additionally.
if he has the Viola Case to carry even more stuff with him.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, this is a fun character.
Yeah, he's just like gun synergy, which is really cool.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to play, especially with the whole extra ammo.
Yes.
Because that would count for him with the firearm.
Yeah, and you can even also play the Guardian stuff too that refers to firearms. So like that's really cool. When I look at Michael McGlen, I think his ability is very fun. It's not like super efficient, but it's just like, I mean, in theory, if you're paying back your gun, that's probably pretty good, right? Because then you don't need to worry about your economy because your gun pays itself back, which is really nice. His stat line is insanely good. 3-1-5-3 is like the dream stat line for this guy.
Yeah.
Because all he does is shoot, and you don't need to work as hard to survive in the Mythos phase, which is really nice.
I do find it interesting that the limit once per round.
Per firearm asset per round?
Yeah. So that to me is like, that's good, but I don't really see that kicking off strongly until you also hit Viola Case.
Yes, yeah.
It's like that's your dream circumstance.
Because like I think the idea is that like you shoot a gun.
You get $2 back.
You get $2 back. Like that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Like I know you have to pay money to do these guns, but there's the Luger, which is spoiled in Drowned City, which you can use to reload, and you can fire as a lightning bolt. So like that seems really good. Yeah, I think like he's gonna be pretty fun to play. I think his weakness, the shuffle each firearm asset into your play area into your deck, is going to be a little trickier than it reads at first glance. And I think you need to play around it until you see it, and then you can go gun crazy. Because, I mean, like, say you do have 4 guns in play with your Viola Case, and then you shuffle all 4 back into your deck. Like, that's going to be killer.
Counterpoint, though. I think that that's a very smart way of them encouraging you to, quote-unquote, play around Confiscation with... Sorry, what it does is it encourages you to have a weird tension between getting that 1 resource back by only firing the 2 guns or by conserving ammo versus Confiscation, where honestly my dream situation is to have Confiscation come into play when I have 4 guns with no ammo left, shuffle them back in my deck and be like, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the free reshuffle on all these items that are out of ammo.
Yeah, and as long as you have like a weapon to like fill that gap afterwards, like I think it's very like I think you can't just like ignore it. No. It's like it reminds me of Tommy Muldoon. He has a weakness where like you have to discard each damaged thing you control. It's called Rookie Mistake. And it's like one of those things where if you ignore it, you're going to have a bad time, but you can kind of like work around it.
Yeah, have something just sitting there with damage.
I think Confiscation is going to be similar. There's a lot of ways that you can like take advantage of it, which will be like a positive, but if you just ignore it, it's probably going to hit pretty bad. You also could just play like a melee weapon in addition to your guns. You can do like melee weapon and then guns.
Yeah.
Right? But I like the idea of the triggering his ability twice a turn, just to like get 2 free resources. Like we know Dr. Milan is good, everybody at home, because he gives you resources for playing the game, and Michael McGlen has that on his card, which I think is really nice.
So how long until you do a challenge run of Michael McGlen as all the guns?
I think Bryn's gonna, because I think Bryn's gonna play Michael McGlen.
Yes.
Because Bryn likes big gun builds, and I think that Michael McGlen's gonna be a really good big gun investigator. So I think not too long.
Not too long. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right.
How do we feel about the stat spread on Viola Case? Is something that you might commit to?
I think it's really nice because I think his stat line, apart from book, is like... Oh, yeah, because there is no book on Viola Case. It doesn't have the book. For some reason, I see the book there because I see the 3 of them. And I'm like, oh, book's here too. But it's really nice, right? Because your brain and your foot are now 5s in the Mythos phase. So, like, that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I think it's a good spread of abilities for that one, for icons. All right. Next up, we got Anchor Chain. This is a 3-cost survivor asset. Takes up your hand slot. It's an item and a tool. While Anchor Chain is in your hand, you may perform the below action ability. If you do, discard Anchor Chain instead of exhausting it. As an action, you can exhaust Anchor Chain, evade. You get +1 foot for this evasion attempt. If you successfully evade a non-elite enemy, you may discard 1 card from your hand to prevent that enemy from readying during the next upkeep phase.
I just want everyone to know, I don't care whether you're pro or anti-Deep One, this is a crime in progress. That's what this image is. That Deep One is not the threat here.
He's like, oh my god. Oh, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah, this guy just tried to get back up and somebody used the discard a card and is like, I'ma whip you again.
Yeah. He's like, help me.
Yeah,
help me.
This Deep One is in fact the victim.
He's in danger. Yeah. Oh god.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I really like this card.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
It is also I really like the idea of a weapon that does no damage.
Yeah.
And this feels like a weapon that does no damage.
It is kind of like that, right? It is like a very efficient way of keeping enemies locked down. I mean, you do need to exhaust it to use the ability, but like, and you have to discard another card to make them not ready. So like, I think this is like built for like specific decks, right? But I do agree. I think that it does kind of feel like elite enemy management, not elite in the terms of the keyword, but like efficient enemy management without being an actual weapon, which I think is really cool. Yeah, I'm always going to think about that Deep One. It's just, oh god.
He just got out of the water. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't even know what Cthulhu wants.
They definitely could have done like a more menacing stance because like right now it looks like he's like cowering kind of. Yes. Yeah, it really does.
It looks like he was like, I don't know, like looking through the slats in the wood and just stood up to see you.
Yeah,
like.
he's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That is really funny. All right. Next card, we got Dakota Garofalo. She is on the hunt. She's a specialist. 4 cost, 3 experience. Takes up the ally slot. Soaks for 2 and 2. Detective, Hunter, and Wayfarer deck only. While there is a creature or monster enemy at a location, you get +1 brain and +1 fist. As a lightning bolt, exhaust Dakota Garofalo. Choose an enemy or location or connecting location. Move to the chosen enemy's location and engage it.
That is wild. That is really cool. There have been so many, there's so many interesting... And that's a lightning bolt?
It's a lightning bolt.
So you can make sure to trigger it after the enemy attack phase.
Yeah, not after the attack. Like there is a window after the attack, but like after they move, you could like snatch an enemy from somebody else. That's actually a good point. Like, you could be like, no, you're attacking me. You can deal with prey-only enemies that way. That's kind of funny. I never actually thought about that, but that's true.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm the prey. You're fighting me.
But also the whole, or a connecting location, move to the chosen enemy's location and engage it. So you can very strategically choose to engage the enemy at a time when it's not going to cause you any problems to engage it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like, also, like, like, say, for example, you're on this location and I'm on this location, and the enemy's with you, and you're like, help me, please. And I'm like, don't worry. I can move, engage the enemy. That's 2 actions for a lightning bolt. Like, that's not hard for her to get ahead on the tempo that you needed to put into this card.
Yeah, this is honestly wild to me. Like, this allows the Guardian to basically go onto a longer leash? Or
Yes.
will the fighter to go onto a longer leash? Because now, like, there's so many times we've been playing, and you've been like, I need to hop to this location to do something, and then I'll come back to protect you.
Yeah, no, I don't need to anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's like pretty reasonable for 3 experience. It is a specialist card, so like they're kind of neutral, so they're a little bit like tuned down, right? Because like that top action, like the top text, we haven't even talked about it. It is good, but it's not active all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things that is notable. Luckily, notably, which I've been told recently I say too much, but I'm gonna keep saying it. In like a fun way. No one was being mean. They were just
Notably.
like, yeah, I'm the notably guy to someone's wife, which I think is really funny because I say notably all the time. So this one's to you. But like there's whippoorwills, which are the tiny birds that they run all stats and they're aloof. So she can just grab that, but then she actually does cause you to not lose the fist bonus when you're dealing with that thing, which I think is really cool.
That's really wild.
Yep. I think she's a cool card. I think she is going to be playable in. I think she's going to be playable for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got an upgraded level 5 library pass. We've already talked about the level 1 ages ago, but I included here just for reference.
I'm here for a level 5 library pass. I would like this as a phrase in real libraries I work in.
Yeah. So it's a Miskatonic Scholar deck only. It's permanent. The other one isn't permanent, so this one's going to be in play now. Lightning Bolt during your turn. If there is no attached asset to library pass, exhaust it. Attach a tome asset from your hand to library pass. Attached asset takes up no slots. These are all, as far as I'm concerned, the same. This one you have to spend a resource, though, for the level 1 to attach. However, the forced effect on this one is when your turn ends, you must either pay 1 resource or place the attached asset on the bottom of your deck. And this one is just place. So you don't pay up front for this one, but you can pay to keep it, but you can also pay to keep it forever.
They turned my entire career into a single level 5 card. This is just what I provide people.
Is it a good translation?
This is a fantastic translation.
Yeah.
Because that one is just your late fees.
Yes, yeah, 100%. They still have those?
Not really.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like every time that someone like Julia's like, oh, my book's almost due, she calls and they're like, just keep it for a bit longer.
Yeah. With that,
unless it's like one of like the popular books where there's like a wait list, they're like, you could just keep it for a bit. Yeah.
We don't really, yeah.
That's funny.
This is really clever. So my assumption is the attachment doesn't cost any money on the 5 experience.
Correct. Yeah, you can attach it for free.
So you get a free tome. It takes up no slot. And then you can either... I just really struggled to breathe there for a moment. You can either pay 1 resource or place attached asset on the bottom of your deck. So you have a way to cycle it if you get something better.
Yeah. So
you just let the other one go.
Yeah, so... I might have talked about for the level 1 when we talked about this like a few months ago at this point. But there's a combo you can do where you can like put the Necronomicon into play on the tome, on the library pass, and then you put it on the bottom of your deck, and then you Scroll of Secrets to put the bottom card of your deck into your hand. And then you just like repeat it over and over and over again. It's like a cool combo you can do. I think the thing that this does, I think like the upgrade is not like crazy. It's like one of those things you eventually get to just make your deck a little bit smoother. But I think that it's like a nice upgrade because it being free up front is pretty powerful, especially if you are doing the loop. If you're trying to keep it tome for a while, like let's just say for example, let's just spitball here. Let's look at the numbers, even though I hate looking at numbers. Grim Memoir is a 3-cost asset. Let's say you put it into play for free, and then you actually use it for 3 turns, so you pay 3 for it. Is that worth the action that you saved? Probably. It's probably worth the action, right?
If you're a big tome deck, is it worth the slot that you just freed up?
Probably. Yeah, probably 2, right? Like, yeah, definitely 2. I think that this card is... So what I think, for me personally, maybe I'm crazy for this assessment and someone's going to think I'm a wackadoo for this. But I actually think these two cards are for different purposes.
Yes.
I feel like the level 1 version is for the combo, and the level 5 version is for the value, if that makes sense. Like, you can use them for either. Like, you can use the 5-1 for the combo, but I feel like the combo is fine at 1. But...
Well, I will say, one thing I do find interesting, too, though, is by changing where the resource is, because they're almost effectively flipped in a kind of a weird way.
Yeah.
The library pass is 3. Is $3 to get something into play, because it's the 2-cost
Yeah, and then you
then
spend one, yeah.
Whereas the library pass is the no cost,
Yeah?
and then you spend one. So I actually think the 5-level upgrade is in fact saving you $3 off the hop, which is
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And a card in your deck, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating way to balance the 4 experience difference.
Yeah. I think this card is going to be pretty powerful, too. But I also think it's going to be pretty fun if you're not trying to be, like, gross with it.
I really have to ask an important question. Are there any cards that allow you to attack people with books?
Yes, it's called Throw the Book at them.
So.
Yeah. The only thing is I think it takes up your hand slot.
But this doesn't.
No, I think, like, the tome has to take up your hand slot.
Oh.
I don't know, but there might be more. There might be more tome. There is a card called Active Desperation, which you could use. You
Okay.
could throw the book at somebody. We could do Combat Book one day, probably.
I'm just saying, library pass combat book. I'd like to see.
It could work. It could work.
And then I want to cycle it back into my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do think you're right, though, that the. Because the library pass, it's 3 to put the book into play. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, it's also permanent. Permanents are also just very powerful cards, too.
Yeah,
But no, you're
absolutely.
right. You're right. All right, next up, you're going to love this one. It's a big gun.
Oh.
The Mauser Tankgewehr M1918. 4 cost, 5 experience, takes up 2 hand slots. It's an item weapon firearm, hunter, veteran, warden deck only, uses 1 shell. As an action, if it is ready, spend 1 shell, fight. You get +5 fist for this attack, and this attack deals +3 damage. As an action, you can exhaust it to replenish 1 shell on it. So you gotta put that shell back in, baby.
I really want to play this card.
What if I told you you can play it in Father Mateo the Priest? God sends his regards.
I'm just saying, blessed gun deck when?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very fun card. I think it's very interesting that it's also coming out in a set where there is that card that gets you 1 additional shell.
No, it's only ammo, so it won't work with that.
Oh, very clever. You're
Yeah,
smart. I
they-
see you.
Yeah, so it's not actually ammo, so you can't use ammo stuff on it.
Okay, that's very smart.
Yeah.
I really want this in every flex deck I build. Mm-hmm. I really... Hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out, denizens of Arkham Internet. Mm-hmm. For why I am a bad player and you are not. For 5 experience and $4, I want to, at any time, be able to turn to my beleaguered guardian fighter
Yeah.
and go, don't worry, I got this.
And just like shoot the ghoul with 2 health. Yeah.
Yes. Just once, every session, every scenario.
Yeah, you're not even planning on reloading it. You just want that one shot.
I'm just firing it just once to be like, you don't have to come back and save me.
Yeah.
Of course, it's only Hunter, Veteran, and Warden only,
Yes.
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. There's a card called Ornate Bow, which kind of does a similar thing. You attack with your foot, it deals 3 damage, and you have to reload the arrow. Mm-hmm. And it's playable. I think this card...
Well, it's +3 damage, notably.
Yeah, so it's 4 damage,
4.
which is really nice. I mean, the bow is only 3 experience, so like it makes up for that a little
that's
bit.
Fair.
But I think that this card is going to be... I think it's playable for sure. I think it's like a little bit more memey than it is like super like efficient, but everything is good if it does the job, kind of.
This is my new shotcaster.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? Like, I think this card is going to be very fun to play. I actually also, even though I said, like, for Father Mateo, it sounded like a joke, but I honestly do think he's the best user because he doesn't have anything for his hands. He can do spell slots for his other things and just hold this big-ass fucking gun all day. I think it's, like, super, super actually, like, the best place for the card.
Also, wild point. Who was our criminal back then? He's not a hunter, a veteran, or a warden, is he?
He's a warden, I think. Or no, he might be a hunter. He's a hunter.
I'm just gonna say, you get 2 extra hand slots with Viola Case?
Yep. Notably, though, it doesn't trigger his ability.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it's like one of those things where they unfortunately, like, they were the right to future-proof it, but you do get 2 extra. You can put this. He's like, don't worry, I have a plan. Opens it up, just keeps pulling it out like it's a magician, and then he's like, got the pieces. Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to be more 40k
Then this
in your Arkham card
yeah.
game? Have 2 handguns
And then this
the tank gun.
that seems perfect. Honestly, sucks for the acolyte that gets fucking domed in the head by this thing. Just turn into fucking goo. Alright. Where's the party? It's here at PBG. This is a zero-cost rogue event. It's a trick and improvised parlay. Search the encounter deck and discard a pile for a non-elite enemy and spawn it exhausted and engage with you. Draw cards equal to that enemy's combined damage and horror values.
Oh, wait. Okay. I wasn't paying attention right up until that last sentence. Search the encounter deck and discard a pile for and spawn it exhausted and engage with you. Draw cards equal to that. That's fun. That's fun. I think there is some interesting tech you could possibly mess around with this. Because, I mean, you absolutely are getting value for it. But what about doing this before you know a shuffle is coming? Mm-hmm. To get that enemy to a player who is prepared and set up for it. Mm-hmm. What about using this as a way to control when enemies spawn on the board? So so you know, for example, Doom is going to trigger. So that's when you pull an enemy who gets Doom when they are played on the board to appear.
Yep, right before the witching hour, yep.
Yeah, and then you also scooped that enemy out of the possible deal on the next event. Like, I think there's some interesting things to be done with this.
Yeah. Additionally as well, I think it's really nice that it's exhausted, so you don't need to like solve that enemy immediately. You probably want to draw 2 cards for this. If you can draw 3, that's really nice. Really good for fishing out victory enemies. Mm-hmm. There's usually a non-elite victory enemy in the decks. Really good with Alessandra. Really good if you want to just be playing parlay and you are like, you want to find an enemy. Yeah. Yeah,
actually, good point on the victory. I didn't even consider that as well. There's so many times where you've been like, maybe we should stay a little bit longer. And I'm like, Justin's victory fishing. I don't even know what's coming, but Justin's victory fishing.
Yeah. Also really good for people like Trish, because you can grab an enemy and then just use it to like grab an additional clue and be like, hey, goon, kill this enemy.
Yeah.
I think it's a legit card. I think it's going to be pretty playable. All right. Doppelganger. 2 costs, 1 experience. Myriad, so you get 3 copies for 1 experience. Fast, play only during your turn. Attached to your location, limit 1 per location. As a reaction, after an enemy enters or leaves attached location, return Doppelganger to your hand. Either perform an evasion attempt against that enemy, or immediately move to the attached location. You may trigger this ability from any location.
After an enemy return, I think it's good. I don't like it. I think it's good. Like, it's myriad, it's fast, but it's $2. You play it only on your turn. It's attached to your location. After an enemy enters or leaves attached location, return Doppelganger to your hand. Oh, I'm thinking about this the wrong way. You put this down wherever your clover is or wherever someone's doing stuff. Wander off to do your own thing. Mm-hmm. And then you warp back to fight this thing as the thug.
Yeah, or even just like put it on like the path that you are going.
Yeah.
And then like evade the enemy and then like slow it down.
Or just use it to teleport across the map. I hadn't thought about how much this, like, you just drop this somewhere that you know is going to be relevant later in the campaign. Like, you drop this in the, I don't know, the exit door or and then you're just like, well, when somebody spawns there, or when somebody walks in, I'll just,
That is actually is some interesting tech because, like, say for example, you're in a scenario where there's like enemies that spawn on empty locations. This being at a location does not stop it from being empty, which means that you can then spawn that guy there and be like, all right, I got my little ticket back home.
Yeah.
To me, there's a little bit of a red flag I have with this card where I'm a little bit concerned of why it goes back to your hand. Like, doesn't that kind of like defeat the purpose of like card advantage?
Yeah. A little bit.
Like, could you imagine a carded magic that just like you cast it and then it like returned to your hand? They kind of already did that with like rebound.
Yeah.
But it's like very good.
It is very good.
So yeah, like it's a little bit of like a red flag for me. I think that because you actually
what's that haste card you mentioned?
You can spend 2 actions.
Yeah.
Like 2 actions, and then you do a third action of the same type.
So in theory, you could use something like Doppelganger to just Oh, I guess there's no, and that's why it's got the $2, is to stop it from just being a free cheat out for abilities that want you to do multiple things in a row.
Yes, yeah, no, it does cost 2, and like that is incredibly relevant to its cost. Well, no, it's this card. Like I'm just like worried because like. Just like it like has like my game design sensibility alarm going but like maybe like that like maybe it's like it doesn't return too much, so it's like one of those things. Its symbols aren't great, right?
I mean, yes, but now that you've brought that up, because I did kind of skip over the whole it returns to your hand. Obviously, I have to go walking places in this game.
Yeah,
but like, how much is this? I think I did this in the last video too. How much is this money for Luke Robinson's power?
yeah, it kind of is in a way.
Because in a way, you're kind of gateboxing. Like, in a way, this is kind of an unhinged gatebox.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's got some conditional triggers that are supposed to...
Yeah, and like, realistically, it's not going to trigger too much either, right? Notably, you remember that Ozymandias card? It also returns to your hand. So I'm wondering if there's like plans for something in the future as well. Where it's like, if an event enters your hand...
Which would be terrifying.
It would be terrifying, but at the same time, like, that's so limited to just card draw at this point. So it's like, basically, like, if you draw an event or if an event... I don't know.
Could also be fun tech, though, where what you do is you introduce a cycle of cards that are like, hey, when something enters your hand, good things happen. But the Mythos deck is also like, hey, do you have cards entering your hand?
Yeah.
This is going to be bad for you.
I mean, alternatively, too, I wonder if this is actually just, like, a cycle in this set where there's, like, an experienced card... in each class it's an event that returns to your hand. But at the same time, I'm like, that just like, it's scary. Like, I just don't like, cause you're not actually like losing anything like card advantage wise. Like, I think if this just discarded, it would still be super playable. So I'm like, why does it return to your hand? I'm getting a little bit lost in the sauce here. Cause I think this effect is pretty powerful, but I do think you need to be able to like, have a plan for it. You can't just like drop it and be like, bye.
Yeah,
you know?
no, yeah, you don't want to... Although, because it is myriad, I could see an argument for wanting to drop 3 of these just across the map. And just be where you need to be.
Do you remember that Janae Beauregard, we talked about her today, where you can move an enemy to a connecting location?
Yeah.
I love the idea of like, you move into a location where there's an enemy, you move that enemy into an adjacent location where Doppelganger is, and then you move to that location.
And then get the card back in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Like, I think it's like a tricky sort of shortcut type thing as well. Like, I'm very curious about this card. I'm actually excited to play with it, though. This is, I think, one of the cards that I've seen that's... The idea of it has excited me the most, because I think it can be potentially... Anything that changes the process in which you approach the board is a lot more powerful than I used to give credit for.
I think there's also something interesting to be said, though, about the fact that it's myriad, and that it's either perform an investigation attempt or something else, too.
Yeah, the evasion attempt.
Because, yeah, I can see a good argument for in a smaller scenario, just having 3 of these, putting them down, and using that to automatically force things to come in evaded.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also one of those things, too, like, say, for example, you use this as just a dodge for your team.
Yeah.
Where, like, an enemy moves into your location, but they trigger the Doppelganger and you evade them, and then the enemy's locked down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be really good in Rita Young, too. She has a trick synergy, and she like cares about evading, so it's going to be really nice in her. All right. Next up, we got Quick Shot, otherwise known as Sister Sophia. 2 cost, 2 experience. It's a spirit myriad fast, play only during your turn. Deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. As a reaction, after you draw a Quick Shot during your turn, play it, reducing its resource cost by 2.
Is Sister Sophia a playable character?
No. I mean, honestly, this whole expansion has been like character art that on cards that I want to see as characters.
Yeah, because the fact that they've also named her.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like Sister Mary is the nun, so I don't think we're gonna get another nun.
I don't think we have a nun like this.
No, we don't. Like this. That's her shooting Sister Mary and being like, I'm the number 1 nun.
They just start releasing every new box with no Sister Mary, just Sister Sophia.
Yeah, it was like she got replaced. Sorry.
Myriad fast, play only during your turn, deal 1 damage to an enemy location. Sick. Play it, reducing its resource cost by 2. That's interesting. I like it.
I like it in certain investigators for sure. It's gonna really pop off in like Marion and Nat Show. I wish you could play it at any lightning bolt window. I think it's sad that you can't.
Yes.
I feel like if this was a card in a different class, you probably would be able to. I love the idea of an enemy moving into your location and you're just like, boom, you're fucking dead, motherfucker. Like, die. Guardians also don't have a lot of good card draw. So it's going to be hard to trigger that bottom thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like you kind of want to have like investigators that can take advantage of it.
And I actually do take it back. Having heard that and looking at the fact that it's 3 experience, 2 cost, 1 damage only on your turn, I can see some decks might want to do that, but I don't think this is as exciting as I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think the art does a really good job of presenting the card, and then when you kind of like stare at it a bit, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's not great. But I do think in the investigators it's going to be good in, it's going to be very good in. So, because like, for example, Nacho, once per phase, he can deal an extra damage from an event. So this is 2 damage fast, which is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it does still cost 2, though. Like, 2 is expensive. Yeah. But Marion is nice because she allows her to, when she plays an event, she can play another event paying its cost fast.
Oh,
so, like, that's really nice for her.
Yeah, this combo's really nicely there.
I feel like this is one of those cards that I could take a bold prediction here that actually plays better than it reads. I could see that being the case too, right? But
I mean, it is very hard to hit that 3 damage.
Yes.
In any sort of item. So having a fast 2, like, if I thought about it this way, would I pay $2 on any gun to have one of my bullets deal an extra damage? I probably would. That
is actually a good way of looking at it. Like, I feel like if you're playing a melee build, this is not going to make the cut, but if you're playing a gun build, I could see it making the cut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which, I think quick shot, I mean, it
is. Yeah, it says on the tin, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Short Rest. This is a 1-cost Myriad card in the neutral class. Heal 1 damage or 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. As a reaction, after an investigator location plays Short Rest, play another Short Rest from your hand, paying its cost.
I love the art on this. I just want to say, the art in all of this has been a smash success.
Yeah, they've commissioned some really good... So, like, this one's old art.
Yeah.
Like, this is old art, but, like, this one's new art. And I think they've commissioned a lot of really good new art for this.
Oh, yeah, this is such a good shot. The staring, the lack of eye contact, the focus where the 2 characters are at. This is really well put together. Mm-hmm. And now the card. Myriad, okay. Oh, that's funny. So it's meta. It's meta building.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it's like the idea is you like work as a team to everyone has a collection and they put this card in their deck, and you're just like, you get a heal, you get a heal, you get a heal.
I kind of like that. I don't think it's necessarily strong. Mm-hmm. I guess. Okay. Here's the thing. Does it get better the more players you have? Or is it better in a 2-player game?
That's a great question. So I'm actually going to reverse Uno you.
Yeah.
I think it's better if you are healing from an ally asset. So, like, for example, like Beat Cop or Greta Wagner, who deal damage to themselves for a positive effect, or like Field Agent, who deals horror. That's when I think it's best. Mm-hmm. Especially at level 0, I think you upgrade out of it. But like having ally healing, if you're building like a Rube Goldberg thing, I think is really neat. If we're talking about healing investigators, I would wager it's better with more people, especially if they can all run it. Yeah. Like I feel like if you come into a scenario and like every player is running like 2 or 3 copies of these just in their level 0 deck, it'll allow you to be riskier in the first scenario to get more experience to then get them out of here, which is kind of like my potential use case that I can picture for this card.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting.
Yeah, it's certainly not a flashy card. I do agree the art's the best part of this. It's a very nice card. That's Tommy Muldoon and Jim Culver.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. All right, Eric, this one's for you. 0 cost, 2 experience, Transfiguration. Choose another investigator card from your collection. Until the end of the game, treat the front of your investigator card as if it was the front of the chosen card instead, including your skill values, traits, abilities, and Elder Sign effect max once per game.
I love this card.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I want to figure out what the combos are. Wait. You need to have this with Homunculus.
You could, yeah. You could turn it into something else.
And then every turn you focus on fishing out a Transfiguration and becoming someone else.
Yeah, that's like the first thing you put into your deck, and then you just like turn into something else. Yep,
yeah, and then you
turn back into your original form.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, because otherwise, I do see the problems with this card, which is that every deck you build, in theory, is going to do things a little bit differently, and so transfiguring into someone else is not necessarily great. But if you are a homunculus, this is just value.
I definitely think we need to do a run where we include transfigurations in our deck.
Yes.
And then the rule is that when you draw it, you must play it, and you roll random who you become.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I think that could be pretty fun. I agree, though. I think that this is actually best in homunculus as like a backup. Or, I mean, obviously this is like a Johnny card, or like a crazy ass thing you want to do. Lola Hayes, the actress, she's a neutral, where her front is actually a restriction, so you just turn into something else, would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this card. I really want to run this in a homunculus deck now.
Yes, yeah. So you just like die, like get a bunch of experience in, then die, and then be like, all right, it's time.
Well, you even load yourself down, because I can't remember how homunculus works, but what about cards where you've taken trauma or damage or anything up front?
Those will still, all the damage and horror will still be marked. You just swap the card, so you don't heal.
Oh, I was going to set myself up to really die fast.
So you actually could swap into someone who dies with the damage on you. This is just like a way to defeat yourself. That seems pretty funny. But yeah, I think this is one of those things that like it's gonna there's gonna be a lot to explore in this card, and it's just gonna become like more and more exciting over time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
This is incredible. I also must say I love the art.
Yeah, the art's really good.
Yeah. But I absolutely want to play this card.
Yeah.
Max once per game. Wait, per game?
Yeah, so you can't like because you switch back to normal at the end.
Okay, but when it says game, does it mean...
Scenario, not campaign. Okay. Yeah, just scenario. Yeah.
Well, now I don't want to do it. Yeah. I'm not spending 2 experience for a card I do once.
Yeah, so you can do it like once each scenario, so you can do it like 7 times if you do it after the first scenario.
I love it.
Yeah. Hardboiled. This is a Guardian skill. It's innate. Commits for a Fist and a Wild. Max 1 committed per skill test. Hardboiled gains Fist Wild for each successful attack you performed this round.
This is a very good card. This is a phenomenal card. I would absolutely run if I was any sort of Guardian splash or Guardian and I was doing fighting, I would always run this card. It's effectively 2 Fist or a Wild.
Yep.
It gets better over time based on actions, and if not, it's still 2 Fist up front. This is an incredibly solid card. I'm surprised this doesn't cost something.
So what I really like about this card is using the wilds defensively. So like you punch something twice and then you like break down a door. You interact with a treachery card.
Yeah.
Right? Or like you punch something 3 times and then you use it on a frozen in fear, right? At the end of your turn. Or like you punch it 3 times and then you have someone else do a test because it's performed this round, right?
Yeah.
So it's very versatile in those regards. Also really good for like shotgun decks where you like want to succeed by a big number. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a pretty fun workhorse. So I think the thing keeping it from to go with your because I also agree. I think this card is actually pretty good in the right places. The thing that's stopping it from being XP is because it kind of just caps at a certain point. And like unless you're using it as a payoff to like a shotgun, I think ultimately you'll have stronger things in the experience pool to upgrade into.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess what I meant was no experience, no cost.
Yeah, because it's just a skill. Yeah, no, I think it's a cool card though.
It's also innate, so it triggers with some character builds, right?
Silas can use it. Silas and Hank Sampson.
Yeah.
Silas will like it a lot. Silas will really like this card.
Oh, I love this card.
Yeah.
I also love. I will say for the art, I see for the text box, I see you, whoever you are. You're the type of humor like me who thinks that the best joke is the joke that the character unironically fails. Because the correct line is there's going to be 2 sounds: me hitting you, you hitting the floor.
Yeah.
But whoever this person is just failed the joke. They didn't get it.
Yeah, me hitting you once. And then twice, and then you're still standing, and all right, I'll go.
Yeah, okay, goodbye.
Yeah,
that's great.
All right, Lost Arcana. This is a 3-cost, 3 experience mystic card. It's an item tome occult. Takes up the hand slot. Uses 2 charges. Charges on Lost Arcana may be spent as if they were charges on a spell and ritual assets you control. As a reaction, if the last clue is discovered from your location, exhaust Lost Arcana. Place 1 charge on this card.
Would you take this out from your library?
Oh, Oh yeah, you could. I would take this out from my library.
I would take this out from my library as well, especially for a slotless space.
Okay, put it into play for free. Use it to just roast somebody.
And then either throw it back into your deck, it gets its charges back, or grab the next clue.
Interesting. That is interesting. I think the card's good. Anything that gives you more charges on your assets is really nice. Some redundancy in your spell stuff is really cool. Also works really well with Mortar and Pestle because they trigger on the same sort of effect kind of thing, like clues getting discovered, which means that you can then use them to pay for the spells that you want to put into play. Yeah, I think the card's legit.
I love this
no
card.
thoughts other than that. I just think the card's sweet.
I want to take it out from the library.
Hell yeah. Well, you have to build an actual full RPG or like full roleplay Librarian Daisy deck.
I'm gonna now.
Yeah. She can't play this one unfortunately because it's 3 XP in Mystic, but
I don't blame them.
all right, next up we got Scientific Studies Grant. This is a 3-cost, 2 experience grant. Limit 1 per investigator. You have 2 additional hand slots which can only be used to hold science and or tool assets. Which makes sense. She is holding 2 science or tool assets in her hand.
Remember when you told me that whatever his name was, he knows his purpose?
Yes, Charles Weston.
And that he wasn't that good?
Yeah.
He's been replaced.
He's been replaced.
He's been replaced by a grant.
Yeah, already. He's like, all my years of study and they replaced me with a grant that's not even in my name. They just called it Scientific Studies. They didn't even call it the Charles West In Memoriam Grant.
It's literally a better version of him.
Yes. Do you know what I love about this card? It makes me actually want to potentially play Dissection Tools.
Yeah.
Because that card is just like so unplayable because it takes up a hand slot. It does cost, you have to find it. Mm-hmm. It is expensive.
There's only 1 per investigator.
Yeah, which is good, so you don't have 4 hand slots. But it is kind of true, though, because like it is just like Dr. Charles West III, but like experienced. Which is like one of those things where like Charles West III doesn't really move the needle.
No.
So like I don't think this is going to move the needle that much either.
No, but it is. But what is nice about this too, though, is that it is not an ally slot.
Yes, exactly. That's the nice. That's what makes Charles West like. Apart from the fact that he's bad, it's also that he's an ally, right? Which makes him worse. Right?
Yeah.
But this like being slotless is like, is that worth the 2 experience in the reality of the deck that you want to be playing this card in? Yes, it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but this is like a deck that you don't include unless you are building around it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. All right, last card of the day. This is the Blood of Thoth. They found him, they blood him, and he's dead.
And there was only 1 bucket worth.
Yeah. Law Incarnate. This is a 2-cost asset, item relic. Takes up the accessory slot. As a reaction, when 1 or more doom is placed on a card you control, exhaust Blood of Thoth. Place 1 resource on this card as an offering. As a reaction, if Blood of Thoth has 3 or more offerings on it, remove all offerings from Blood of Thoth and exhaust it. Choose an investigator location to immediately take an action as if it were their turn.
No, I want to do this, and it's bad. This is a danger card, like because Doom is gonna push forward the advance.
Yeah.
And you need to put 3 Doom. You need to play at least 1 round where you are adding 3 Doom.
And you also have to exhaust it, so it's over 3 turns.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
no.
that is a pretty bad rate, isn't it? Because you have to exhaust it.
You have to exhaust it.
So
you have to add the Doom.
So
unless you are eliminating whatever cards you are putting on,
it is possible. It is possible.
But you have to do it 3 times to get 1
action.
1 action. No.
Oh, yeah.
Also, you're wearing this machine around your neck.
Yes.
You have better things to wear around your neck.
Is this Thoth? Is this like his beak and that's his eye and that's his hat?
I think it is.
Please don't tell me that's true. It can't be. Thoth's not a bird, is he? Is he a bird?
Most
of them are birds, right?
No, they are birds.
There's a lot of them that are birds.
That is absolutely so. That's not his eye, but that is absolutely an outline of a bird that Thoth is the kind of, because that's the beak in the front.
Oh. So you're wearing that apparatus. Yeah, no, the rate on this is so slow.
I don't understand how it's supposed to work in game, because I cannot see a game where I want one of the players to be potentially upping Doom. that much.
Yeah, so like to me, when I look at this card, it has the same problem that a lot of Doom payoff cards have, is that they're still not good enough. And like this is another thing where like I understand they don't want to make the Doom payoff too good because Doom is a significant cost. It usually makes your card much better. But I don't think it's good enough.
There's too many limitations on this too. So like not only is it has to be 3 or more, then you remove all offerings and exhaust it, which means that Blood of Thoth can, I guess, trigger on its 3rd turn, but can it because it's already exhausted?
It can't trigger on its 3rd turn, so it takes 4 turns.
It takes 4 turns for an investigator at your location.
Yeah.
It's not an investigator anywhere. Investigator anywhere I could start to see an argument for if it somehow broke that economy.
I wonder 2 things. One, would this card does this card maybe have a hidden upgraded version where it's if it has 3 or more offerings, remove all those offerings, take 3 actions?
I could see that.
And my next question is, would that be too strong at level 0? If it still had the same rate for in which you put the offerings on. I don't know. Because it's so slow?
It's so slow. And I mean, it's not taking up any actions. Don't get me wrong on that. But yeah. I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, so I have to place... So also, it does not put Doom on anything. So I need to be building a deck that already puts Doom on things, include this as my necklace slot, which means I'm not getting a different, better necklace. And I have to then have a 4-turn loss on something else I could have played as my amulet.
Yeah. So, notably, there's a permanent card called Sin Eater in the Mystic class. Mm-hmm. I'll read it for all you at home. It's permanent and exceptional, so it costs 6 XP. Lightning Bolt, exhaust Sin Eater, move 1 Doom from an asset you control to Sin Eater, then either ready that asset or place 1 charge on it. And as an action, you remove all Doom from Sin Eater. However, I was like, maybe you can ready Blood of Thoth with the Sin Eater, but you cannot.
No. It doesn't move fast enough to... And I mean, how many cards put Doom on them?
Quite a bit, actually. There's a good number. So, like, there's an example here. Let me show you a level 0 version. Yeah. So that you actually can trigger it and remove it every turn in 2 players. So I'm showing Eric Dowsing Rod. Mm-hmm. You investigate either using your brain or +1 book. When you initiate it, you exhaust it and place 1 Doom on it to move to a connecting location. And then the other option is if it discovers the last clue, remove 1 Doom. So in 2 players, you can actually use this to place a Doom and then remove a Doom pretty consistently every turn.
Yeah.
There's also a card called Hallowed Chalice that kind of does a similar thing, but with healing. Mm-hmm. And there's also a weapon and an evade spell that does the same thing. So, like, there's a lot of ways to consistently get 1 Doom down a turn. And those cards can remove Doom, but I think even with those in play, the rate just seems like a little bit slow.
Again,
right?
I have to ask, like, are there better amulets?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot. Like, the accessory slot in the Mystic class is highly contested.
So no matter how much, like, don't get me wrong, I have once again switched off playing Rogue, and I'm now going to play a Doom deck. Yeah. But because I am a child, and I will play with the next shiny thing you show me. But I would never, ever actually even put this in that Doom deck because I want the amulet to do something.
Yes.
And for 4 turns, this isn't doing anything.
It's not. I'm with you on that. I feel like I wonder, again, like maybe just me like optimistic, but I would play a version of this that gave you 3 actions because then it feels like kind of worth it. Like there's like a good payoff.
Okay, but let me counter that argument.
Yeah.
So if it gave you 3 actions, how is this not in some ways a double action card? Because it takes 4 actions, including paying it, so 5 actions to put it out, and then you'd get 3 actions back.
Well, the reason why is because those actions that I'm putting the Doom down on are me winning the game, so they're not really actions that go into the cost of the card.
But I'm saying if you had an amulet, all of those actions could potentially be better.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think at this point now, the +1 brain that people normally do, or like the card draw randomly from it, is not as necessary in the Doom decks.
Oh, okay. That's
kind of like the thing. It's not as necessary in the Doom decks. But I mean, I'm not even arguing though that like it would be the right choice. I'm just like looking at it like what would make me want to play this card, and I feel like you need to like accrue at a better rate. Mm-hmm. Or alternatively, have a better payoff. It has to be one of the two, because right now, both the rate and the payoff are just like too slow.
Way too slow.
Yeah.
Okay, crazy question. Imagine it didn't exhaust
For the first one or the second one?
for the first one.
Yeah, I think that's the rate is too slow. So it's not exhausting.
But would it be too fast?
No, I think it would be a fine rate still.
Okay,
I think it would be a good rate because realistically though, you're like Doom is so swinging because it changes from scenario to scenario. Like the problem with all Doom cards that have ever been printed in Arkham is that like the payoff is not usually worth the Doom, and they kind of just all sit in that awkward spot because they're kind of like scared as Doom being like too good of an archetype.
Which is funny that you'd put in something like Sin Eater.
Yeah, because it's a very powerful card. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you'd put this.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like read this card before we recorded this because this one actually was spoiled today. Oh, by the way, it's the 13th. Everybody, happy 13th.
Happy 13th.
But there were a lot of people saying like they don't get the card, and I'm with them.
Listen, I love blood. I
love
love
Thoth.
stone.
Yeah.
I love bird. I don't love this card.
I'm very curious.
Please prove me wrong. Like, please get in the comments and just do that thing y'all do so good where it's like you name 17 cards and I'm just like, I don't understand.
No, I don't think that's happening for this one.
Okay.
I don't think that's happening.
You know what it is? I blame the artists. Because you see there's that weird blood trough in the back that's not connecting to the blood troughs that are doing the trickle down. Yeah. That's where the lost action economy is happening.
Yes.
You put too many troughs in your Blood of Thoth.
I mean, I'd play a 2 experience version that gives you all 3 actions at once.
Yeah.
I would play that card, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And you make a good point that if you don't need your amulet slot to boost up your Doom actions, then this could be potentially useful. But otherwise, I'm trading. Otherwise, in order to get 2 actions off of this, I need to take 10 turns where I am consistently...
Yeah, because you play it, Doom that turn. Doom next turn, Doom, actions. So that's 4. And then Doom, 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 action. So 8 turns to get 2 actions? That does not add up.
Yeah, that's not good.
That does not add up. Yeah, no, that's unfortunate, but...
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Thoth, but we do not want your blood.
Yeah, you put that blood back in.
Curious. Very curious. All right. That's it. We only have one more of these videos left to do for the last batch of cards that are going to be spoiled leading up to the end of January. But I hope you all enjoyed this. And then soon it's almost box time. And then like you have Eric and I are going to do a full wrap up of all the cards that weren't spoiled. And then Travis, Bryn, and I are going to be doing a full wrap up of all the cards because Travis doesn't like talking about the cards in detail until we see the whole picture.
And then we're going to do a video where I wrap up Travis.
Yeah, and it's going to be on a different website though, because that is a fetish video that we're doing for sure.
It's not how I...
It's going to just... like it's not like wrapping like a mummy. It's gonna be like they're gonna just like
yeah, it's a vacuum. It's
vacuum seal.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.